Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is that you are watching this video. This is United States history. You know who I am. It is a great day to be a Douglas Trojan. Unit we're covering today, we're going to skip unit 1.2. We're going to skip 1.1 and cover 1.2. 1.1 you will cover with your work and assignments on tomorrow. U.S. History Standard 1.2. Standard is to analyze the post-Reconstruction civil rights struggles. Three parts of that standard are to: one, we want to identify the significance of Juneteenth in relation to emancipation, which is freedom, and modern day celebrations, right? We want you to be able to point out and tell, why is Juneteenth significant, right? Why does it mean anything in regards to freedom and the way we celebrate Juneteenth now? Examine the purposes. The next part of that is to examine the purposes and effects of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. And you have an assignment, a chart that you will be filling out where you would do just that. What was the purpose of these amendments and what was the effects of these amendments? C, to assess the impact of the Black Codes, Jim Crow laws, and the actions of the Ku Klux Klan. What were the impact of these things that happened? Yes, so you'll cover all of those things in your assignment, and so I won't give you all of the answers in this presentation, but you will need to do the work to find those answers in your reading. Let's go ahead and get started. The 13th Amendment reads, we talked some about this on Tuesday. We talked about all of these amendments on Tuesday, and so this should be a review, refresher, but Section 1 of the 13th Amendment reads, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime, whereof the parties shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Part 2 says, Section 2, says, Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. So essentially what the 13th Amendment says, which is what we talked about on Tuesday, is that slavery is abolished, except where it is punishment for a crime. So as long as you're being punished for a crime, it is within the constitutional rights of whoever is punishing you for that crime to make you a slave, essentially. But the 13th Amendment, for all intents and purposes at the time, ended slavery as it was known, right, as they knew it. So the slaves celebrated the 13th Amendment, and when it was signed, know the dates surrounding the amendment, know the difference between the 13th Amendment and the Emancipation Proclamation, know the difference between the 13th Amendment being signed and the Juneteenth holiday. Know that, and this stuff you will need to put in your chart. On to the 14th Amendment. I'm moving quickly because I don't want this video to take up too much of your time for today. 14th Amendment, Section 1, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States. Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without the due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws, right? And so what the 14th Amendment did was, for the first time in the Constitution, we had a definition for what it means to be an American citizen. You have to be born or naturalized in America. That settles it. Think about that in relation to our current events, how we talk about immigration and citizenship with those who are from other countries or whose parents may be from other countries. If they're born here in America, they are United States citizens. And their parents, if they're naturalized in America, they are United States citizens. Regardless of what certain leadership in this country says, they are United States citizens. So anyone born or naturalized in the United States, that's the new definition, right? So as it pertains to that time, African Americans who were born in slavery, born in America, even if your parents came over on a ship during the transatlantic slave trade, and you were born in America, you're a citizen. Your parents had the opportunity to become naturalized in America. So yeah, that was the definition of citizenship. And under that definition of citizenship, your rights were protected by the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment protected your rights as a citizen. No state could infringe upon or abridge any of your rights as a citizen. Section 2 spells out the consequences of denying or abridging the right to vote to American citizens, or abridging any of those rights, right? Any state that denies or abridges the right of an American citizen to vote will suffer a loss of representation in Congress, right? You should lose representation in Congress, right? That's a heavy penalty because states want representatives in Congress to represent their state's interests. Section 3, no one who has participated in a rebellion or insurrection or aided the enemies of America against America can be elected to office. And so if you were involved in an insurrection, Mr. Foster's perspective, you don't have to say this is fact. You can give me your perspective and tell me what you think. My perspective is that the whole Civil War was an insurrection by southern states. Insurrection is something that is a revolt that happens from within an entity or an institution. That was an insurrection, right? And if it wasn't a rebellion or insurrection, they became enemies of America, right? And so everyone who fought for the Confederate Army fought for the enemies of America, right? So the Confederate leaders and or generals would be enemies, right? They would not be able to run for office, in my perspective, right? We'll talk more. Yeah, in your reading, know about the Compromise of 1877 and how it related to the Reconstruction. What was it? What impact did it have on Reconstruction? Tell me how it relates to this Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. The Confederacy couldn't question, another thing that's in Section 3, the Confederacy could not question the legitimacy of debt incurred by the Union during the Civil War. So they couldn't come into the Union and say, is this legitimate debt that you incurred to fight this war, right? Now, what it also said was that the debt incurred by the Confederacy was illegal and America wasn't going to repay that debt. So it's kind of a twofold deal. Section 5 gives Congress the power to enforce this amendment. On to the 15th Amendment. Now, remember, the 14th Amendment, we have citizenship defined. Citizenship is defined as anyone born or naturalized in the United States. Those citizens have equal protection under the law based on the 14th Amendment. Those citizens also have the right to vote. Male citizens, because women still didn't have the right to vote. Male citizens had the right to vote based on the 14th Amendment. Now, why do we have the 15th Amendment? The 15th Amendment reads, Section 1 says, the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. I'm going to read that over and I'm going to pause and ask a question. Of course, you don't have to answer this out loud. It's a rhetorical question for you to think. Section 1, the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state. That sounds exactly like the 14th Amendment, right? The right of citizens of the United States shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state. It adds on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. If we have the 14th Amendment, why do we need the 15th Amendment? If our right to vote is protected by the 14th Amendment, why do we need the 15th Amendment? And the 14th Amendment says that any state that does so loses representation in Congress. Why do we need the 15th Amendment? Some people question whether we're even really considered citizens in the United States of America because the 14th Amendment defines citizenship and the 15th Amendment suggests that we needed extra protection because the only reason we would need extra protection is if we were outside of that definition of citizenship. Just something to think on. Section 2, Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. All right. Those are your Reconstruction amendments. Read up on those in Section 5 of your book. Read all of Section 5 because we'll also be talking tomorrow. I won't be talking, but you'll be dealing with the checks and balances and separation of powers established in the United States government. this will, you need to get a good understanding of this. I would love for you to have a great understanding of this going throughout this year and on into government next year with Coach Hubbard. But yes, read all of Section 5, complete the assignment for your Reconstruction amendments, and then you have another assignment as well for tomorrow about the, it's a discussion prompt, discussion post with the separation of power. So don't forget your weekly planners. Friday will be the last day you can turn those in. You have those bell work assignments about the chart dealing with advantages in the Civil War and the Harriet Tubman bio. Those are closed. If you didn't get those in, I really wish you would have gotten those in. You have a discussion board post due Friday at the latest. You have a second discussion board prompt on the checks and balances that will be due Friday as well. And you have your Chapter 1, Lesson 5 guided reading and study guide. If you have any questions, message me on Canvas. I can't guarantee how soon I'll be able to get back with you. But I do get those updates on my phone, so I may be able to get back to you quickly, but I can't make a promise. But if you have questions, please let me know. Do not go through this assignment, through anything you're doing, harboring questions that I might be able to answer. So ask me a question. If we're moving too fast so far throughout this first few weeks of class, let me know. We can talk about it one-on-one. If you let me know, if you don't let me know, I never know, right? I'm going to try to start reaching out to those who I can see are falling behind. But don't wait for me to reach out to you. Reach out to me. Let me know. I'd love to help you. And if, as I tell everybody, if you give me effort, you will be fine. Be responsible today. Be responsible Friday. Get your work done. Live by those weekly planners. That's why you won't get many points turning them in Fridays, is because I want you to make them early in the week and use them throughout the week. Anyway, continue having a great day, being a Douglas Trojan.